Hey guys, my name's Joshua Helms. Thanks for watching my video. In this video we're going to go over questions that pertain specifically to the CCNA Data Center 64911 certification exam. This is part 4 of questions and answers. If you have any feedback or questions at all, please just leave it as a comment and I'll be sure to get back to you. So the questions in this section pertain specifically to routing technologies including RIP version 1, link state, and routing timeouts, some of the differences between layer 2 and layer 3 communications, switched virtual interfaces, Nexus commands, and enabling Nexus features. So let's jump right in. Question 1. Which of the following options is an example of a link state routing protocol? Is it EIGRP, RIP, OSPF, or ARP? And the answer is C, it's OSPF. There are two main categories that a routing protocol can fit into, and there are some in the middle, but two main categories. And these are either distance vector or link state. OSPF is a link state protocol, which is a newer and more efficient technology. Question 2 is, what is the maximum allowed hop count for RIP version 1? Is it 4, 8, 12, 15, or 16? And the answer is 15. Now I've provided a link to reference for information in regards to that. Question 3. At what interval does RIP version 1 send routing updates by default? Is it 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds? Or does RIP version 1 only send routing updates when the topology changes? And the answer is B, 30 seconds. Question 4. What does RIP version 1 send to its neighbors? Information about changed routes? B, information about new routes? C, the entire routing table? Or information about deleted routes? And the answer is C, it sends out the entirety of the routing table. This is one of the things that makes it less efficient than other routing protocols. Question 5. What are two advantages of employing an external router for inter-VLAN routing over IEEE 802.1.q trunk links? A. Layer 3 functionality is not required to switch. B. The router facilitates communication between VLANs. C. The single traffic path is optimized. D. Latency is reduced as packets leave the switch. Or E. Equal cost multipath is supported. And the answers are A. Layer 3 functionality is not required to switch, and B. The router facilitates communication between VLANs. Question 6. What is a switched virtual interface? Is it A? An SVI is a layer 2 interface and uses a dynamic MAC address. B. An SVI cannot have an IP address assigned to it. C. An SVI provides layer 3 routing between VLANs. Or is it D? Each switch port requires an SVI assignment. And the answer is C. A switch virtual interface provides layer 3 routing between VLANs. Question 7. What is the Cisco Nexus command to define a port as a layer 3 port? Is it A. Port routed, B. No switch port, C. I3 switch port, or is it D. Port switching off? And the answer is B. No switch port. So whenever you put in the command no switch port, you're not actually turning layer 3 routing on. To be more accurate, what you're actually doing is turning layer 2 switching off, which then defaults to layer 3. Question 8. Which statement is correct regarding a routed port on a multi-layer switch? Is it A. A routed port requires an SVI definition? B. Routed ports cannot be configured on a multi-layer switch that uses SVIs? C. A maximum of 32 routed ports can be provisioned on a given multi-layer switch. Or D. A routed port is a physical port that supports layer 3 routing. And the answer is D. A routed port is a physical port that supports layer 3 routing. Question 9. On a new Cisco Nexus switch, you receive an error message when you attempt to create an SVI. What is the first command you must use to create a switched virtual interface? Is it A, interface VLAN and then specify the VLAN ID, B, VLAN and then VLAN ID, C, feature SVI, or is it D, interface routed? And the answer is C, feature SVI. Most of the features on a Nexus switch are modular, meaning you can turn the individual features on or off. Now, SVI creation is another one of those modular features. So you must first enable SVI before you can create one. Question 10. What command should you use to configure a Cisco Nexus switch port for layer 2 operations? Is it the command switch port, the command layer 2, the command routed, or the combination of commands interface VLAN 10 and then the command switch port? And the answer is A, the command switch port. Using the command switch port will tell the physical port to not be a layer 3 routed port, but to use layer 2 functionality. Alright, in this video we went over questions in regards to some routing technologies including grip version 1, link state, and timeouts, some of the differences between layer 2 and layer 3 communications, switched virtual interfaces or SVIs, some Nexus commands, and enabling Nexus features. Thanks again for watching my video. If you have any questions or feedback at all, please just leave it as a comment.